Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 kill team video review, where today I'm going over the updated Mandrake kill team rules. But before we go into things, thanks goes to Games Workshop for providing these to review for free. And please remember to like and subscribe, as well as comment, let me know what you thought of the new Mandrakes. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Lemon Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And before we get into things, some of the stuff you'll see I have written up. So the audio is all correct. It's just because I can't show what I have. The only issue is I have done 7 of these. This is number 8 now. So the audio is correct. The ploys and everything, all the written rules will be right fine. Editor John here, who has had some sleep. I'm instead of using my own written fighter cards, well, operative cards, I've used the cards transcribed by Greasy Pete from the Australian Discord in Good Times Rolled for Kill Team. So thanks goes to him, because I honestly lost the will to live trying to do the Mandrake operatives, typing all out. So much text for so little operatives. So anyway, everything is up to date, so don't need to worry about that. So I will continue back with the review, but thank you, Australia. You've disappeared in the stats world in terms on the map. It continues to sink you, but you continue to do amazing service for the community. So for your roster, you are still a 9 operative kill team, and your archetypes are infiltration and recon. You have lost seek and destroy, which is good or bad considering how you take it. Then you have your leader, which is the Night Fiend. Then you have 8 other operatives, where you have an Abyssal, Chooser of the Flesh, Dirgemaw, Shade Weaver, and then Warriors. So completely unchanged, which is great news for Mandrake players everywhere. For the faction rules, you still have the Soul Strike ability. Soul Strike. Success or defense dice are determined differently. Each result that's equal to or less than the target's APL stat is a success and is retained. Each result that's higher than the target's APL stat is a fail and discarded. Each result of a 1 is always a critical success. Each other success is a normal success, and every result of a 6 is always a fail. So effectively, if someone has an APL stat of 2, they need to roll 1 or 2s to save in shooting instead of their armor save, and not every one would be a crit. And if you had an APL stat of 3, you would need to roll a 2 or 3 for a normal save and a 1 for a crit save. So it's all based on APL shooting. It's unchanged. Then you've got Shadow Passage. So once per turning point, one friendly Mandrake within Shadow can use Shadow Passage when it performs the reposition action. If it does, don't move it. Instead, remove it from the kill zone and set it back within Shadow. In a location it can be placed. When you set it back up, it cannot be within control range of enemy operatives, be a valid target for an enemy operative, perform the shoot or fight action until the start of the next turning point. But what you can do is shoot and or fight, then do Shadow Passage. So you can still only do one once per turning point, but it's a little bit more restrictive. Then you've got, and also you can't do it with Guard, because Guard is a shoot action. Then you've got Umbral Entities. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Mandrake operative, you ignore the piercing weapon rule, and whenever a friendly Mandrake is within Shadow, improve its save stat by 1. So you have a 5-up invulnerable save, 4-up invulnerable save if you're in Shadow, unchanged. Then for within Shadow, an operative is for within Shadow if any of the following are true. It's within 1 inch of heavy terrain that's not lower than it. Any part of its base is underneath advantage terrain, or a shadow portal marker is within its control range. Slightly a bit more restrictive, but otherwise still good. Then for strategy ploys, you've got Creeping Horror. After each enemy operative's activation, before the next operative is activated, you can perform a free dash action with one friendly Mandrake operative that has a conceal order. If it starts and ends that action within Shadow, you cannot use this ploy during the first turning point, and you cannot select each friendly operative of this ploy more than once per turning point. So it's already been nerfed. You can't use it during turning point 1, before you could, but as long as you start and end within Shadow, you can do a free dash, which is harder than you would think, but still a very good ploy, but usually only using it at turning point 2. Then you've got Gloaming Shroud. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Mandrake operative that's within Shadow, you can retain 1 of your defense dice as a normal success without rolling it, in addition to cover, if any. So that's actually pretty good. I think before it used to be a reroll. Then you've got Blade in the Dark. Each friendly Mandrake operative can perform the charge action while it has a conceal order if it starts or ends the action within Shadow, so that's unchanged, still really good. Then you've got Inescapable Nightmare. Whenever a friendly Mandrake operative is shooting, fighting, or retaliating, if it's within Shadow, you can reroll 1 of your attack dice. Also unchanged and very, very good. Then for Firefight ploys, you've got Sliver Out of Sight. Use this Firefight ploy at the end of any operative's activation. Select 1 friendly Mandrake operative that has an engage order and is within Shadow. Change that operative's order to conceal. Situational, but useful. Then you've got Soul Feast. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly operative is shooting against, fighting against, or retaliating against an enemy operative within 6 inches of it, and at the end of the resolve attack dice step. That friendly operative regains a number of lost wounds equal to that enemy operative's APL stat multiplied by the number of your attack dice that inflicted damage during that sequence. Excess dice are ignored, i.e. the enemy operative is incapacitated before remaining attack dice are resolved, and you cannot use this ploy if you are incapacitated. So if you die, you can't use this ploy. But basically, let's say I did 3 attack dice worth of damage into someone with 2 APL, that would heal me 6 wounds, but then if I did it into someone with 3 APL, that would be 9 wounds. So it's situational healing, but you never really use this. Then you've got Nowhere to Hide. Use this firefight ploy during a friendly operative's activation. When it performs an action in which it moves, until the end of the action, the operative can move through parts of terrain features as if they were not there, but it must end a move in location it can be placed. So you still have to play for climbing and dropping, but it allows you to like phase through stuff. Not Gallow Dark Walls, because you can just teleport, but it's still a useful ploy when needed because you could also do it during a charge. Then you've got Shadow's Bite. Use this firefight ploy when an enemy operative that performs a fight action during an activation in which it performed the charge action and selects a friendly Mandrake operative within Shadow to fight against it. In the resolved attack dice step of that sequence, you resolve the first attack dice instead of the defender. This has been changed slightly, so before if someone had a rule that struck first, you would then strike first again, but it doesn't really work like that now. It's just if someone charges, then fights you, you will be the attacker. Well, before they resolve their dice as the attacker, you can resolve your first attack dice. So you could be a parry, strike, block or strike. It's your choice. So it's nerfed slightly, but it's still very good. So for operatives, your leader is 2 APL, a 7-inch move, a 5-up save with 9 wounds. It has the Bale Blast, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s. You hit on 2s, 3, 4 Soul Strike. And then the Husk Blade, which is 5 attacks hitting on 3s. It used to hit on 2s, 4, 6, lethal 5-up Shock, which used to be Stun. So it's got Harrowing Whispers. Whenever your opponent would activate an enemy operative within 6 inches of this operative, you can roll 1d6. If the result is higher than the enemy operative's APL stat, they cannot activate it during this activation. If there are no other enemy operatives eligible to be activated, this rule has no effect. So this is no change. Once again, if this operative walks, let's say, surrounds itself within 6 inches of 6 enemy operatives with an APL stat of 2, if you keep rolling a 3-up, none of those activate unless they have no one else to activate with. And this isn't once per turn, it's just always active. So it's very, very good. Absolutely crazy. I'm surprised that didn't change. Then you've got Oubliex. Whenever this operative is readied, or if this operative incapacitates an enemy operative with its Husk Blade, its Oubliex becomes active. When its Oubliex is active and an attack dice would inflict damage on this operative, you can roll 1d6. On a 5-up, ignore that damage inflicted from the attack dice, and its Oubliex is no longer activated. So completely unchanged. The only thing that changed with the leader is it hits on 3s instead of 2s. So very, very good. Then you have the Abyssal, who has 2 APL, 7-inch move, 5-up save, and 8 wounds. It has the Bale Surge Blast, which is 5 attacks hit on 3s, 3, 4, Blast, 2, Soul Strike. Then it has the Bale Surge Burn, which is 5 attacks hit on 3s, 3, 4, lethal 5-up Soul Strike. So you've got either the more damaging one or the Blast mode, depending on your choice. Then you've got the Glimmer Steel Blade, which is 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 4, 5, lethal 5-up. It has Balefire, so whenever a friendly Mandrake operative is shooting an enemy operative that has one of your Balefire tokens, add 1 to both damage stats of that friendly operative's ranged weapons, and they have the Saturate weapon rule, so they ignore cover. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Mandrake operative that has one of your Balefire tokens, subtract 1 from the damage stats of that operative's weapons to a minimum of 1. Then you've got Reven Balefire. Select one operative visible to this operative that doesn't have one of your Balefire tokens until the start of this operative's next activation, until it's incapacitated or until it performs this action again. That selected operative gains one of your Balefire tokens. So you have a nice way to either make someone more likely to kill because you just you could Reven Balefire someone, then light them up, but you could kill someone, then Balefire someone else as an enemy operative to make your other operatives do more damage than they're shooting, or pick a friendly operative to make them more resilient to shooting. So it's your choice. It's still a really flexible and powerful operative. Then you have the Chooser of the Flesh, who has 2 APL, 7-inch move, 5-up save, 8 wounds. It has Bale Blast, which is the same, and then Bale Blade, which is 4 attacks in on 3s, 5, 6, brutal, lethal 5-up. It has Soul Harvest, so whenever an enemy operative is incapacitated as a result of this operative's Park Collector rule or Bale Blade, you gain 1 Soul Harvest point. or 2 if that enemy operative had an APL stat of 3 or more. Whenever a friendly operative is activated, you can spend 1 of your Soul Harvest points to add either 1 to its APL stat until the end of the battle, or have it regain up to 2d3 lost wounds. Note, you can spend your Soul Harvest points even if this operative is incapacitated, so it's unchanged, just a more clarified wording. Then Part Collector, when an operative performs a fallback action while within control range of this operative, you can use this rule if they do inflict 2d3 damage on the enemy operative before it moves. So it's basically going to kill someone. It has lost Reap, which is unfortunate, but you need the Chooser of the Flesh is like your playmaker. You need the Chooser of the Flesh to kill someone to make one other operative free APL, or if they kill a Marine, effectively someone with free APL, or notably someone under the effect of the comms, it gives you 2 tokens, which then you can like go, cool, you kill my Chooser of the Flesh, but now I give 2 other Mandrakes free APL, which breaks them. So it's a very key piece, and the thing you have to worry about is your opponent's just staying away from it, which is a problem. Then you have the Dirge Maw, which has 2 APL, 7-inch move, 5 up save, 8 wounds, has the Bale Blast, which is unchanged, and Horrifying Scream, which is 5 attacks hitting on 2s, 2-2, range 6, devastating 2, seek light, stun, and soul strike. So it ignores light cover, it doesn't ignore their cover, but has devastating 2 and stun. So it does some more damage, so for every crit it's doing an additional 2 damage. Then it has this Glimmer Steel Blade, which is still 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 4-5 lethal, 5 up. So you have Haunting Focus as a strategic gambit. Select 1 enemy operative until the end of the ready step of the next strategy phase. It gains 1 of your Haunting Focus tokens. The next time your opponent activates an enemy operative that has your Haunting Focus token, if this operative is ready, you can interrupt the activation and activate this operative. If you do so during the activation, this operative must fight against or shoot against the enemy operative and cannot do so against other enemy operatives until it does. If this isn't possible, this operative's activation is cancelled. After completing this operative's activation, continue that enemy operative's activation if possible. It now no longer you don't have to worry about being visible or within shadow as the opponent. You just pick someone, but the interruption is a lot worse because now you have to activate and then you have to shoot or fight. So you can't even go like charge and fight or move and shoot. You have to be in a position where you can shoot and you will be able to activate so you can change your order. So it's a lot worse, which is good for everyone. Really worse for the Dirge Maw, but great for everyone else. So it's easier to be under Haunting Focus, but it's no longer as damaging, which is a positive change. I didn't expect to say that with Mandrakes. Then you've got Paradolic Projection for 1 action point. Select 1 enemy operative that's a valid target for this operative or within shadow until the start of this operative's next activation, until it's incapacitated, or until it performs this action again, whichever comes first. Worsen the hit stat of any operative weapons by 1, and subtract 2 from its movement stats. These aren't cumulative with being injured. In addition, that enemy operative's APL stat cannot be added to or removed, and you remove all positive APL changes. And you can't do this while in control range, or unless the only enemy operative is within its control range for the selected action. This is actually super better because before you were injured, now you're just super injured because you're injured without being injured, which is way harder. So this is the thing you need to watch out for. The good thing is it's now an action. So, but remember what you could do after it activates and shoots you, it can then activate Paradolic Projection. But then if you kill it, it's fine. So the only thing you need to worry about the Dirge Maw is basically not being within heavy cover for the Dirge Maw, which is gonna like be very weird. The team doesn't currently have a way to ignore obscuring, so you may be in a situation where you go like, the issue is if you're not within it's going to be very hard because for being a valid target, you're either an engaged operative or you're concealed within cover, so you're hiding within light cover. So it's going to be very difficult. And remember, being within shadow, you can't be under a vantage point. Well, you would have to avoid being under vantage points and have to not be within an inch of heavy, which is very difficult. So it's still good on that part. Then you've got the Shade Weaver, who has the Bale Blaster, which is unchanged. And then it's got the Glimmer Steel Blade. Remember, it's 7-inch movement. And then its blade is unchanged. So you've got the Shadow Portal ability. Whenever this operative performs a reposition action using a Shadow Passage, you can use this rule. If you do, remove your Shadow Portal markers from the kill zone, if any. Then place 1 of your Shadow Portal markers within this operative's control range before it's removed, and 1 within control range after it's set up. Each friendly Mandrake operative can use a shadow passage each turning point, taking precedence over one operative per turning point. If one of your shadow portal markers is within the operative's control range when it's removed, and the other is when it's set up. Note that friendly operatives can do so even if the operative has been incapacitated, and doing so doesn't prevent operatives from using a shadow passage in the normal manner. So if this operative shadow passages, then no one else can that turning point, but once it's left those markers there, then you can keep teleporting. They've reduced the range of it, so it used to be 2 inches, now it's within control range of a 20 mil marker, which is a very much smaller bubble, but you could dash and then shadow passage, so there's more flexibility around it. Then you've got Weave Darkness, 1 action point. Remove your Weave Darkness markers from the kill zone, if any. Then place your Weave Darkness marker visible to this operative, or an advantage terrain of a terrain feature visible to this operative. That marker creates an area of smoke with the same size and effect of a smoke grenade, except you don't remove it during the following turning point. If this operative is incapacitated, remove your Weave Darkness marker from the kill zone, and you can't do this while in control range. So it's a permanent smoke grenade. So you always pop this because it's just permanent smoke. It's no longer as good as it was before, but it's still good enough. So very, very nice. Then you've got your Mandrake Warrior, who's 7 inches move, 5 up save, 8 wounds. Bale Blast and Glimmer Steel blades are unchanged, and it has the Shadow Warrior ability. So whenever this operative is within shadow, add 1 to the crit damage of its Glimmer Steel blades. So it goes from 4 attacks in on freeze 4-5 to 4 attacks in on freeze 4-6. Completely unchanged and still really good. For your faction equipment, you have the Chain Snare, so whenever an enemy operative will perform the full back action while within control range of friendly Mandrakes operatives. If no other enemy operatives are within that friendly operative's control range, you can use this rule. If you do so, roll 2d6 or 1d6 if that enemy operative has a higher wound stat than the friendly operative. If any result is a 4+, that enemy operative cannot perform that action during that activation or counteraction, and no AP are spent on it. So this is really good because it goes on everyone, and will effectively, if you're into an 8 or 7 wound team, trap everyone in combat with you, which is really good. Then you've got Shadow Glyph. Once per turning point, when a friendly Mandrake is activated within Shadow, you can use this rule. If you do so until the start of its next activation, while the operative has a conceal order and is in cover, it cannot be selected as a valid target, taking precedence of all other rules. So super conceal, but you have to be within Shadow at the start. You don't have to at the end. So it's a nice tool. You're probably always taking Shadow Glyph. Then you've got Soul Gem. Once per turning point, when a friendly operative is performing the shoot action and you select a Bale Blast, you can use this rule. If you do so until the end of the action, that weapon has the blast 1 weapon rule. It's okay, maybe on Gallo Dark, but I don't really recommend it. Probably into Hordes, but it's still not great. Then you've got Bone Dart. So once per turning point, a friendly Mandrake operative can use the following ranged weapon. So it's Bone Dart, hitting on 4 attacks, hitting on freeze, 2-4, range 6, rending silent. So it used to be 1 use. Now it isn't. So equipment-wise, it's pretty good. You're always taking the Shadow Glyph and Chain Snare, in my opinion. And then maybe the Soul Gem or Bone Darts. Interestingly, you can take Frag and Crack Grenades and Ladders. Because these Shadow Beings just go like, Crack Grenade. So you're probably just taking the Shadow Glyph and Chain Snare. But it does free you up for some other interesting equipment. Like, it's just strange. Funny, but good. But you can also use like the Heavy Barricade now as a permanent staging point to set up your teleports, which is really, really nice as well. Then for Operative Selection, this is super easy because this kill team is a 1-box kill team. You get 10 Mandrakes in a box and you can only build 9 of them. And you have 4 specialists, 5 if you include the leader. So you build your leader, 4 specialists, and then 5 Mandrakes, because why not? You'll have 1 left over. For fun, if you want, but you're generally always taking your specialists. So this is a perfect 1-box team. So have at thee. It's a very consumer-friendly team, which is good for most Aeldari teams, which is nice. For the Mandrake kill team overview, this team has effectively been unchanged. The biggest change is they've lost Seek and Destroy, but you just take Recon. Like you just literally take Confirm Kill. Recon is super easy for this kill team. You've lost Seek and Destroy, but you've got Infiltration and Recon. Always take Recon. Your Dirge Maw has been changed slightly. Your Dirge Maw is no longer super obnoxious. It will just permanently injure someone until it dies, which is enough to slow people out of the game, which is very good because it injures without calling you being injured. So, for example, if a team has a way to ignore being injured or like modifiers from being injured, the Dirge Maw still gets around that, which is very good. The team has been slightly nerfed overall, but minimally it's still very good. Your leader now hits on 3s instead of 2s, but this team is still very threatening. The good thing is now opponents don't have to worry about being in shadow so much, only against the Dirge Maw. But as I said, it's not great because then the Dirge Maw will just pick visibility. The interesting thing is this team has no way around obscuring, and in some situations it may just be better to be obscured than like trying to like hide behind heavy cover to get benefits from this against this team. And if we go into an elite meta, Mandrakes will find it a lot harder to play around, but generally they're still really solid, really good. Their shooting, especially with their Abyssal, can be surprisingly devastating, especially on Gallowdark, or even on Volkers when shooting in confined environments. So they're a very, very good team. Still really hard to play, especially if your opponent knows how to play around your tricks. So they're almost not like a one-trick pony, but if you know how their tricks work, it's going to be really hard to like punish your opponent, which is good game design. So if you have a prepared opponent, it's very difficult to treat, like, bully them. Gallowdark, they're not as good because Gallowdark is more open now, but they're still very, very good on Gallowdark because they can still teleport around, which is very good. And they still have insane mobility. But you still have to remember that the Chooser of the Flesh is the key piece. So if the Chooser of the Flesh doesn't get a kill, you're going to be in a rough battle. But if your Chooser of the Flesh does get 1 or 2 kills, or like 1 or 2 soul tokens, your kill team just goes into easy mode, which is difficult to, like, especially into elites if they don't give you that opportunity. So you're going to have to play around that. But otherwise, they're a very solid team, and they're actually quite easy to paint as well. But that's pretty much it for me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you like it or not? Let me know. And what do you think of the changes? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link Element Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adjuncts of the crit, I have Tom, Super Cow, Steven, Sam, Nick, Mr. Meatwad, Mercenary Q, Lucas, John Thomas Graham, Fangzu, Dave Meatswell, Dad of Golden's Chris, and then for my veterans of the crit, I have Samja and Ryan. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But I'm finished. I've done all 8 faction guides. I have to edit them all, but I've done them all. I'm free for now. It's so I'm gone insane. I can rest. It's great. Left Mandrakes till last. They're a little bit better to play into. It's fine. I'm living off this momentary high. It's currently 12 minutes past 1 a.m. in the morning, and now I have to edit so many videos. But remember, no matter what happens when you're fighting in the darkness against the Mandrakes, there's always a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.